Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So in this video I'd like to go over why Xuna is pretty much the best companion out there for AoE damage, where you need to do damage against lots of targets. So this would generally be when you're in a mob fight where you have lots of multiple enemies and you just need to kill them quickly and then move on to the next group of mobs and kill them, etc, etc. And you'll get this in dungeons, solo questing, and all over the place. So why is she one of the best companions to be using? Now she may even be the utmost best. I haven't found a companion that can do better than her when attacking multiple targets. Now there are many reasons why she's the best, and I shall go through them in this video and what you can do to make her the best. Now of course Xuna is a very expensive and rare companion, so not a lot of you guys will have obtained her, but if you can, she's definitely worth it. So with regards to Xuna herself, when we look at a dummy and see what kind of attack powers she has, if I go and attack this dummy, she will immediately do her big attack power, which is this bloodbath where she attacks multiple targets within a large area. And this bloodbath, much like on a rogue, well, it's pretty much the exact same power, where she'll fight basically any enemy within 30 feet and she'll do that damage. Now the big advantage to Xuna is that when her target dies, she moves on to the next with her bloodbath, meaning she can clear a whole group of mobs and not care whether she's killing them, because she'll just move on to the next with that bloodbath. Now a really advantageous thing is what happens when you go, she does a bloodbath, then you resummon her, right? So I go out of combat as soon as my bleeds are off that dummy, which will take a while, I'm just annoying there. And I resummon her, and I go and attack the dummy. She does her bloodbath again. I can go summon her back, I can go attack the dummy again, and she'll do her bloodbath again. Now that's an insane amount of damage racking up. And this is one of the key things why she is the best, because she does that big attack power at the very beginning of her fight within combat, and it makes it so good for clearing mobs nice and quickly. She can even clear a pack of mobs just by herself with that bloodbath alone. So ideally what you do is you enter combat, but before you enter combat you make sure to resummon her, and then you go and you attack the dummies or the targets, and she does her bloodbath on them, maximizing her output in damage, because in between her bloodbaths, it's about 15 seconds or so, she'll do this stab, albeit it's a decent amount of damage if she has combat advantage, but you can see the attack is really slow, so this is not what makes her good at attacking and dealing damage. It's this big bloodbath that she does on a ton of amount of targets within her area. So we jump onto the live server here, and I'll jump into one of these dig fights as soon as I possibly can. Let's get rid of these enemies nearby. So I'm here on my character with the Xuna, and we'll jump into our fight with our first pack of mobs. So immediately when we enter combat, Xuna sees her targets and she does her bloodbath, and there she's finished it, and she's pretty much killed them all, and I just need to do a few hits to finish them off. Now I can resummon her, and then when I enter into my next fight, she'll have that bloodbath ready to pop off straight away, and then she can go and do it there. Now the drawback is if she has like targets which can be close by, she might haul in a whole group of mobs that you weren't prepared to take on, and that can be sometimes a bit annoying. So we just finish off the guys there. I resummon her. You can see I'll get this error if we're in combat when I try resummon her, and we jump into our next fight here, and Xuna will do her bloodbath, and she just does that damage, which is insane. Well, although of course it will depend what content you're doing. Some content it'll be easier, some content it will be harder. So what I like to do is make sure to summon her before I enter into each fight. You can see there I accidentally didn't manage to summon her, so that she didn't do her bloodbath at the beginning, but I can summon her now. And we've summoned her, and whenever we get the next wave of mobs, they should be coming down the stairs here, she'll immediately do her bloodbath on them, and she just helps out, and I can kill the guys pretty much in one encounter power hit just because of that. and that's why Xuna is one of the best. Now, what command am I using? What is this command that I can summon her, again, with the click of a button? Well, this command relies on, if we look here in the companion tab, this button here, update automatically. It will effectively desummon her and summon her whenever you activate this, and if you're in combat you won't be able to press the button. It's basically like changing the reskin of your companion, and since Xuna only has one, it's just going to summon her back again with the exact same skin. But if your companion has a different skin, then yeah, she'll just look different every time you use that. So you can bind this clicking of this box to a certain key with this command that I'll put on screen now. So what I like to do is bind it to my B button. I've changed the inspect button to something else, and when you go and bind that, when you're out of combat, you can click that corresponding key on your keyboard. I know this sucks for you console players, but then on PC you can just hit that button and it'll resummon her. And when you resummon her, that recharges her bloodbath. So when you jump into a fight, the next fight, you will basically have her do that bloodbath immediately. As we can see it when we attack these dummies here. We summon her, we attack the dummy, engage, and she does that bloodbath. Now, to maximize her damage, you definitely ideally want to have her on her mythic rarity. Along with that, you also want to have companion equipment with 6 of these runestone slots, and in those runestones, you want to have these indomitable ones. You want to have them on the max rank 15 to give you that 20% extra damage, and these will stack up 6 times. So you will get a total of 120% extra damage for your companion just through these runestones, which is a huge buff for the companion in itself to deal that significant amount more damage. Along with that, you can also use the Warlord inspirations. You could, of course, just use one of them. Any more than that, you'll barely notice any difference in the damage output, as it becomes really small after the first one that you stack on. So that's pretty much everything I use to maximize her damage. You can also, of course, on the live server here, I have this bell, this Lilra's Bell of Empowerment, where you'll increase her damage by 20% for a period of time. I believe it's only about 10 seconds. So yeah, I really love to use Xuna with this benefit when I'm solo questing. She helps a whole load in just clearing packs of mobs. Now, before the combat change, she used to be even more powerful, so she'd absolutely be able to just shred all of these mobs with that bloodbath straight up. You can see she does a hefty amount of damage to them, and she's just left that guy and she's gone and killed it with her stab. And that was only 3 targets, of course. Now, if you are going into a mob fight where you're going to have like wave upon wave and not have the chance to go out of combat, then she isn't like that great. But the advantage of her being able to switch target after her target is dead is huge, because you do have other companions, let's say like the Abyssal Chicken. But the drawback on the Abyssal Chicken is that he does his swarm on a few targets, and when those targets die, the swarm doesn't switch to other targets. So it basically, when the target dies, that's it, that's over. Whereas with Xuna and her bloodbath, when she's killed a target, she'll just switch to the next nearest target, and when everything's dead, then that's mission accomplished for you. That's what you wanted to do, right? You wanted to kill them all. So she helps massively in that regard. Now, of course, you can always use other companions with that same key that I've just shown you. I'll show you up again on the screen here. And with using that key, you just effectively desummon and summon your companion, whichever one you have. There are, of course, a few other companions you can use which will have this ability to do their big hit at the beginning of the fight, but none of them are as impactful as Xuna is right here. And this is why Xuna is really expensive. She is a rare companion and very well sought after. And we can see, looking on PC right now, she's above 10 million. That's crazy. I wouldn't spend that much Astral Diamonds on a companion, especially now. She's not going to completely carry you. You will need to do a bit of your own damage to help kill off the mobs, especially when you're in newer zones like in the new Sharandar now. the mobs will have a bit more hit points, so you'll have to help out yourself by doing a bit more damage with your own powers, like you can see I'm doing in this heroic encounter. Xuna will help out quite a lot here, but I definitely need to do my part, and we can summon her back again for the next wave of mobs, and she'll go and she'll help out massively with that bloodbath. So that's really great to have her as a companion active for those mob fights, for solo questing, and she helps out a ton, especially on like even a support class like on my paladin. I love to run her for that specific benefit of giving that bloodbath at the very beginning of the fight. It just helps to kill them a whole lot faster, whereas a lot of other active companions will do their special ability a bit later on in the fight, after about 10 seconds or so, and we can just annihilate these heroic encounters nice and quickly. Anyway, with that said, that's going to be everything for this video. Hopefully this was somewhat helpful and insightful as to why Xuna is this price, why people really want to have her. Now, I didn't mention the exact numbers. Well, they will vary and change, but she, if you look in my actual top 10 DPS companions, she is very good alone, even on single target. And with her having the ability to switch to multiple targets, it makes her really versatile, and in my opinion, she's pretty much all round the best companion you could get for dealing damage. Of course, there are a few which are specifically best in other situations, like in long boss fights. You might have ones like the Mercenary or the Cold Iron Warrior that are just that little bit better. So that is it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If I presented this well, consider leaving the video a like, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.